welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted as ever to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how goes it?
Evening, Daniel. Evening, Craig Swan.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Oh,
Good, thanks.
Craig come back to me at Christmas time, Swan. Swan, see if you look just down to my right there. Do you see my wee disco Santa by the fire? It's now officially Christmas time, and Hearts have just gone to Celtic Park and got a win. Can we now say that Hearts are involved in a title race?
Yes. I think we can. But still no Christmas, Keith. Come on. You can have a trophy on Boxing Day. Listen. Yes, I'm sure we'll get it in some depth. But I think if anybody, I think today was a real big day. Listen, we're going to get into it, as I say, but today was a big day in terms of the next steps in the season, I think.
Absolutely.
For everybody, I think if Celtic go and win the game comfortably today, and Hearts take a defeat, and all of a sudden Celtic are 3 clear with a game in hand, you're kind of thinking, already looking dodgy now. I mean, you have to remember Celtic have still got a game in hand, but a massive day just in terms of belief for Hearts and what it does for them. So, we'll get into it. So, charge on, boys. Hit me with what you've got.
Completely agree, Swanee. If Celtic win that one today, it just feels like you're watching the same old Christmas movie, and you know how it ends. So I think for Hearts to go there, that was a statement result, a statement win, and I think it really throws the gauntlet back down. And I did say going into this game, I felt that Hearts had been, maybe distracted by the fact that they were looking down from the top for such a long time, and at one point being so high up. I just felt this was an obvious game for them, just to get all that stuff out of the side view mirrors, if you like, and concentrate in the game of football in front of them. And they did it. And I have to say, tactically, absolutely superb. That was Del McInnes and his textbook rope-a-dope way of performing and winning games against the big two. And do you know something? I'm sure we'll come into it, Daniel. There's a really bad start for Wilfred Nosey, because I think he was completely outmanoeuvred by the man in the opposing dugout today.
Well, first on that, I want, Swanee, what's your thoughts on Wilfred Nosey changing the formation? He'd been in the door 2 days. On the show last week, I said, I think it was to Ryan McDonald, that I'd be really surprised if he tried that. But he did, and I mean, obviously it didn't really come off.
I mean, there's 2 or 3 aspects to this whole thing. To answer sort of the first part of your question, am I surprised he did it? Yes. Given the fact that Celtic had been winning games, we're on a run of form, and this was such a big game, so I'm surprised from that point of view. On the other hand, I understand new managers coming in, they have their system, that's what they want to do, that's it. That's the way I play, and I'm going to impart it immediately. I'm going to put it onto the team immediately, because the quicker I do it, the quicker I get my ideas across. So I can see both sides of it. I thought it was a risk. It was a risk, but the result tells you it didn't pay off. And Celtic were good for 40 minutes. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, good intensity in the game. They got things right in terms of their tempo and the way they got after, the way they got the ball back. They were good at that. They hunted in packs and they won the ball back. But you could just see with the patterns of play, there was little moments where people were kind of stopping on the ball and kind of pointing and looking and just not quite sure. And it's going to take time for things like that to bed in. And I think I know Wilfred Nancy said after the game, it's not about systems, it's not about that type of thing. So it's about players. But if you're asking me, on one hand, I'm surprised he did it. I certainly wouldn't have done it, but then again, I'm not the Celtic manager. He's clearly wanted to try and impart his ways very quickly on it, but it was a risk. It was a risk given the fact that Celtic have been racking up results. Yeah, it was a risk to do it, and it's and whatever you say about how they played for the first until Claudio Braga scored, even you could say doesn't matter. None of that matters. Hearts have won, and in the second half, Hearts had it under complete control. I think that was the most surprising aspect for me, that Celtic just didn't really seem to have any sort of response, or whether that's players' tactics, whatever way you want. Hearts were completely controlled after the interval. They just looked as though they were handling everything with a minimum of stress, to be honest. Yeah.
Keith, I've never seen a Celtic team, in as long as I can remember, more desperate for a striker.
Look, Daniel, I'm going to take a different view to Swanee, and I don't like doing that because he knows his stuff better than me. I just felt in that first half I wasn't impressed with Celtic. We're going to roll out cliches here, one being obvious that goals change games. And if Dyson Maida takes one of the 2 chances that come his way in the first 10 minutes, 1 8 minutes in, 1 9 minutes in, should probably score at least 1, probably 2. And if he gets one of them, then it's a different game, because then Derek McInnes needs to change. But Derek McInnes, to me, he's admitted after the game, or even before the game, that he knew Celtic were working on going to a back 3. So there's an issue, right? Now, this is a guy who is famous for having a network of people, right? And if you remember Barry Ferguson's first game in charge of Rangers last season, before he got on the bus to go down to Rugby Park, Derek McInnes knew what Barry Ferguson's starting 11 was, right? So that's clever. It's good. You've got to use everything you can get to your own advantage. But Derek McInnes set up knowing what Nauncy was going to do, and he come up with the rope-a-dope system of how to beat it. Give up the wide areas. Let Celtic get overloads down each side. Just man up your penalty box. Get bodies in there, because if Celtic have got men overloading out the wide, you're going to outnumber them where it matters, which is in the penalty box. And time after time, Celtic, got into wide areas, got crosses in. But who are you aiming for in there? Dyson Maida against Craig Halkett and Stuart Finlay. I thought there was that couple of scares that Hearts had early in the game. If Celtic score, it's a different match. But they didn't. And from that moment, from 10 minutes on, I felt Hearts were completely comfortable with everything that Celtic were doing in front of them. Completely comfortable. And always looked as if they could spring on the break. And that's what the team was set up and designed to do. And that's exactly what they did. And I just felt, from 10 minutes into this game, I think Hearts knew that they had a very good opportunity. If they executed the plan right, they had a very good opportunity to take 3 points. And I just
thought for sort of 35, 40 minutes, Keith Celtic get some good things working in the middle of the pitch, get some combinations going, kept Hearts moving about. Hearts did well to stay in their shape. A lesser team might not have done that. They had some, they're moving the ball about, they were keeping it, they were doing quite well. When they lost it, they were winning it back. Hearts weren't quite getting the first pass right. So I thought from that point of view, Celtic did okay. I thought they did well, and a lesser team might not have been able to stand up to it, and Hearts did. But I still don't think that takes away from the fact that Celtic were doing quite well with the ball. Albeit, you're correct to say, they weren't exactly having open chance after chance and making the goalkeeper make saves. But you felt like they'd been building to something.
Nothing was created, Swanee. Nothing was created. And in fact, what I would say is, I think Derek McInnes will look back on that first half and say that his team should have been much better. When they did get the ball, they should have used it. But
I think it comes. Listen, we can argue all day about quality, and this maybe comes back to the manager. You have to pick a system to suit the players. But there was a lot of times when Celtic worked it really quickly and got Tenetsky 1-on-1 wide, and he just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you've got a proper player out there that goes out and absolutely drives past Steinwender, and then you might start to create some chaos in the box, even if you just deliver. As Mark Manning said, just get balls in the box and something might break for you. Celtic weren't capable of getting anything in the box because the guy they deployed in the wide area wasn't capable of doing it.
Yeah, but I kind of look at what you're when he looks up, Swanee, he looks into that Hearts penalty box. He sees about 6 maroon jerseys, 1 or 2 green and white shirts.
Sorry, lads, the lads are having a massive debate here about who's sweeping which row.
Are they free to come on, Swanee? Get them on.
Yeah, should I?
So tactically, I thought that was an issue for Celtic, and I thought I did felt that Hearts it played into their hands. Hearts knew what they were going up against, and they played it perfectly. And when they did start to use the ball better in the second half, as you said, Swanee, they were controlling it.
Yeah, once they got the first pass right, Hearts, and they got themselves out properly, Celtic were kind of stuck. And you're right what you say, Derek McInnes, he, in his words, second-guessed what Wilfred Nauncy was going to do. He knew he was going to change his new system, or the system that he prefers, and he set up a team to go against it. You're right, Keith, he absolutely did.
I think what I have to say...
And when the tempo went out of Celtic's game, and Hearts, as I say, started using the ball properly, like they did in the second half, they were miles better than Celtic.
Yeah. And I think this is, the big picture on all this, Swanee, right? I mean, this is just, look, Wilfred Nauncy, it's not time to press the panic alarm on Wilfred Nauncy. You'll need time, you'll need to bed in that system, you'll get his players used to it. Celtic will improve, you would like to think. So nobody's making a knee-jerk reaction or judgment on Wilfred Nauncy. But I do think it's fair to say, we've talked about this, the big picture was this, the appointment and the timing of it, everything about it is a gamble. He's got a lack of experience, that constitutes a gamble. The fact that Martin O'Neill was in and not just minding the till and keeping things nudging along, he racked up 5 straight wins and he's way out the door. So to bring Nancy in for this particular game, the visit from Hearts at the top of the table, massive gamble.
I think if you identify a candidate, Keith, you've got to back him and bring him in. If you've identified a guy and then you're saying to him, well, do you just want to sit tight for 3 games because we don't really trust you for 3 of the biggest games of the first half of the season? You can't really do that, can you? If you identify him as the guy to take you forward, you have to believe in the fact that you give him the biggest games to start.
I agree with that.
Or not, I'm just talking about from a club point of view. I think you have to.
I agree with that, Swanee, and I've said so myself. But there is a flip side to the argument. And the flip side to the argument is, would Martin O'Neill's Celtic have been so easy for Derek McInnes to outmaneuver today?
No. And sorry if I'm missing me bits of you, Keith. There's chaos going on here. So I
do feel, see, that one of the things that O'Neill did, the kind of secret to the success, if you like, the interim period, was do things more directly, do it quicker, don't mess about, get back to front when you have to, just get balls into the box, be more aggressive, be more front foot. Everything that O'Neill was trying to do to make Celtic more dangerous, goal-scoring side, I felt it was a retro step in that first half today. Celtic played the ball, but they weren't doing what O'Neill would want to do with it. And I just felt they became really boring and predictable in that first half, and Hearts were just thrown into it. That was a real bad first day at the office, and it now has presented the Celtic fans that worst case scenario that a lot of them didn't want to see the back of Martin O'Neill. They loved what he did. They loved that period, but what they'd been hoping for would be that the new man would come in, pick up the mantle, pick up the gauntlet, go and get that first victory against Hearts to get Celtic stabilised and clear at the top of the table, and everyone looks after itself. But the worst case scenario was that Celtic go a backward step from what they were doing under O'Neill, that Hearts go, capitalise on it, get a win, and they've not been able to win matches. And so this is just the worst set of circumstances it could possibly have been for Celtic. And now he's got to try and stabilise it and get things together before the visit to Roma. And I tell you, he doesn't want to be sitting there on Thursday night playing with his fridge magnets on his wee tactical board. If it's getting away from his team again on Thursday, that's not a great look. And it might be how he does it. And everybody's likes their own quirky methods, and people have got their mechanisms. But look, if you're saying
I've heard of this, Keith, was this on the TV pictures where we sit in the stand? We couldn't see in the technical area. Is this?
Swanee, this is the painful bit was.
All right, okay.
The camera kept zooming in on it.
Right.
So if you saw him moving around these wee tactics boards, if you saw it once, you must have saw it a dozen times, half a dozen.
He pulled over Cal McGregor and showed him them as well.
Yeah, and so listen, that's all well and good if it's working and you're winning games of football. If you're losing games of football and people are looking, what was the manager doing? And he's moving magnets about. Then that's not going to, in this horribly harsh environment of Scottish football, that will end up as, and it's already, you can already hear the comments. People are beating him up over the head with it already in his first game.
What's interesting, Keith, as well, when you talk about managers working things out, you're looking ahead to Roma, but obviously the first domestic silverware of the season's on the line next Sunday, and Stephen Robinson's got a strong spine of a team, which can be very central, the way, centralise a game, and 3 strong centre backs, and Killie and Phillips and big boys like that in the middle of the pitch, and the big guys up front. Right. They know how to. That's exactly. He'll be looking at that today and going, right. Is that the way you play it? Okie doke.
Right.
That's.
I imagine will set up a very similar template to what Derek McInnes did.
Swanee, actually spot on. If there was a team designed other than Hearts to cope with that, it's St Mirren all day long. Just the Gogic in the middle of that. Just you throw everything you want at us. We'll deal with that centrally, and we'll hit you in the break.
Yeah, I was sniggering a wee moment ago there, Keith, because You said, look, nobody's pressing the panic button now, but if you saw some of these comments that are coming into us, you might think differently. But see, before we go into all the Celtic comments, one guy we've not mentioned yet that I definitely think needs a pat in the back. Graham Steddon says Cammy Devlin's midfield display was one of the best ones at Celtic Park in many a year. Green Machine says Cammy Devlin is free to top clubs in January. Celtic should go for him. I don't know about you guys. I thought he was immense today.
I'm going to say something right now. Here at this stage in the season, and I know it's come back to me at Christmas and all this. At this stage in the season, he's been the player of the first half of the season so far. I think he has been magnificent in that Hearts midfield, and once again today, just as he was back in October when Hearts beat Celtic at Tynecastle, it was a standout in that game. Same again today. The energy level's incredible. Getting about the pitch. And it's not. I think he's a bit more refined than he was. Cammy Devlin was just a wee attack dog, wasn't he? He's so much better.
That's not true. Derek McInnes just said that for the minute he's come in the door, that he's a better footballer than he thought he was. He's been quite open about saying that. And I think what was particularly impressive about Cammy Devlin today is I think he's had it a bit tough the last month or so because his sidekick, him and Benny Beningame earlier in the season were absolutely brilliant. And Beningame's been missing. And Beningame is such a big player, especially at an arena like this today. And I think it's made a difference to Hearts over the past month or so when they've dropped points, that Beningame's not been there. And Devlin's almost had to do the work of two men. Sure, Hearts fans will maybe argue and say the other boys have done fine. But Devlin was kind of having to do this sort of dog work of two players today. Got some good help for Ocean McEntee in there as well. I thought, listen, Hearts had a plethora of good players today. I thought Shanklin was brilliant.
Right.
So intelligent. I know you always look at guys up front and your eyes drawn to them. And as you see, the defenders did what they had to do, head it, kicked it. But, you're kind of expecting that for guys like Stuart Finlay who are top class, dealing with situations like that. But Shanklin there's been a lot of criticism for the front players recently, but it was just, I know it was a mistake for Celtic for the first goal, but he's onto it right away. He's the one that gets away and sets the cross up, then he hits the shot to win the corner. He's just so intelligent and he drops in and helps make an extra body in there. So clever, he's just so smart.
Swanee, listen, I don't think it's any coincidence that the only defeat that Hearts have suffered so far this league season was against Aberdeen, and on that day Shanklin was out injured and Craig Halkett was out as well.
And Ingame was missing as well,
but the two of them make such a difference. I thought Halkett was just about pitch perfect today and everything that he did defensively. And you're right, Swanee, every time when the ball did work its way out up to Shanklin, his touch was great. He kept it in play. He linked with teammates. Really clever. Some of his passing really clever. That was a real top. And he'll probably be kicking himself because he never really get too much of a sniff at goal. But his all-round centre forward play today was terrific.
Yeah.
On the reaction coming in on Celtic, guys, let me throw a few of these comments at you. Mark says, let's be honest, we don't have the players for this formation. We need a ball-playing centre-back, physicality in midfield, craft and work rate out wide, and strikers who can be physical and clinical. David says, Keith, the chances Celtic miss were bloody disgusting. Anne says, Nonsi will need to learn quickly. Results do matter, not the style of play, as I believe he said in his press conference.
That's not worrying.
Craig says, no manager can come in after 2 days and change a whole winning system under O'Neill. Chase this clown now back to his Mickey Mouse League he came from. He's Russell Martin, Mark II. Green Machine says, too big a game to change the system. That should be done gradually in the training ground. And Stevie, one of a few people teasing him about having a game of Connect 4. And just finally, guys, Scott says, Celtic are still favourites for the title, in my opinion. Rangers will struggle for consistency. How do you guys see it? Are Celtic still favourites to win the league?
Well, I would say yes. I would say yes, because I still think with the quality they've got within the squad, they have the ability to go on and take it forward with the right additions in January. But I do know that Hearts will make additions as well. But it's going to be a big ask for Hearts to keep going and keep going and keep going. There's no doubt about that. I think Keith hit on something earlier which was very interesting. As a target on Hearts' back over the past month or so, and it kind of struggled to cope with it a wee bit. And today was the first time in like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games when no one was looking at Hearts. Everyone was looking at Celtic. Everyone was looking at Wilfred Nancy's team. And Hearts just came in and did a job on them. And now you'll flip back forward to the next game. All the scrutiny will be on Hearts when they play Falkirk. And that's asking different questions, which the majority of the Celtic squad have been able to cope with those type of questions in the past. And that's something the Hearts boys have still got to answer. the boys that have been there in the past and the new boys that have come in the door. So I would still make Celtic the favourites. Just going back to one of your previous calls, Daniel, I know we touched on it at the start, but just about managers putting their things in place and, you don't have the players to really suit it to start with. That's what Ange Postecoglou did. He basically put his thing in place. That's the way we're going to play it. And he didn't have the pieces to fit it to start with, and they were losing games. So what's this guy doing? But then eventually when he got the right guys into it, it really took off. So I see both sides of it.
That's interesting.
Again, I come back to the point, I don't think today was the day to do it. But you also have to cut the guys some slack and go, well, if that's the way he wants to play, and that's the system that Celtic are buying into because they're buying into this guy, then you implement it. And then you just keep working on it and then you add the pieces to it to make it work properly. Because judging by what we saw today, as Keith has said and some of the calls have said, Celtic don't have the personnel. The two white players straight away aren't good enough for that system to work. As hard as Yang worked and as hard as he tried, he was actually okay today. Yang, you couldn't criticise him, but Tenetsky was nowhere near it. Yeah. You can't have a system like that if you've got Jota, fine, and Balak Wishak had been worth the 5 million, or Tenetsky was flying, then fine. But they don't have that at the moment. It's not there. So that's where it becomes dangerous. But if he wants to play his system, then he's clearly, well, I think we see from today, he's said, that's it. That's what I'm doing. If he's going to risk it today in a top of the table game, then you pretty much guarantee that's the way he's going from now until January, until he gets a chance to add some pieces. So Celtic fans have got, 7, 8 games to January? 7 games now to January, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, the boys that are in the squad just now are going to have to deliver on it.
Swanee, give me your view on this, because what I didn't like about it, and for me, so it's basically a back three, wing backs, basically wingers for full backs, and then a box in midfield.
Aye.
And I don't like Callum McGregor being positioned to the right-hand side of that box.
Yeah.
I think it became quite isolated. I thought it was easier than it ought to have been for Hearts to snuff him out, to not let him get involved in dictating the play and building the play out from the back. And so many times did you see Austin Trusty today with the ball at his feet, because there's no route into Callum McGregor, because Celtic were so set and so predictable. And Derek McInnes has clearly said to his boys, allow Trusty to have the ball. Just allow him to have the ball. He's never going to hurt you.
You actually saw that at one point at the game in the stadium when the ball went back to Kasper Schmeichel and Braga thought about running across. And, Derek McInnes never signalled to him, but you could tell that Braga had already been told, because he went to run across and then he thought, I'll just hold where I am. On you go. Carry it out and see where you go with it.
Well, that would worry me as a concern, because if that's the way the manager wants to play, I don't know if you're going to get the best out of Callum McGregor, who is the guy, the heartbeat of that Celtic side. I thought he was marginalised in that game today, and I thought Celtic suffered because of that.
Well, I know we need to move on to Rangers in a minute, guys. Time's getting away from us, but I know very briefly we're getting a lot of comments on Paul Tisdale as well. Marty saying, why is Tisdale escaping any flack? I don't know if you'll have seen this as well, Swanee, but Sky Sports cut to Paul Tisdale in the crowd today, and he appeared to be going for a wee nap, which probably wasn't a good look considering they were 2-0 down at the time, and there's a lot of fans giving him stick for it. And I get, look, it's just maybe an unfortunate moment.
He's got his eyes closed, visualising the 6 signings that came in January the 2nd. Having some sort of dream that list he handed in the summer is finally going to be picked up.
I get it's just an unfortunate moment, but it's just not a good look, is it? It's just it doesn't look very good.
Listen, sometimes when your luck's out, and of all the moments for the camera to pan on to Paul Tisdale's face, and he sat there with his eyes shut. Did you say, Swanee? He's probably thinking, oh, jeez, man, I thought we needed 4. Now we're up 6 or 7.
Rebel says in the comments he was praying. You never know, that might have been the case as well. Right, Rangers were playing last night, guys, at Rugby Park. Big win for them against Killie. I caught up with Record Sports' Andy Newport, who was at the game. Shall we hear what he had to say?
Yes, please.
Joined on the hotline live now by the one and only Andy Newport. Andy, you were at Rugby Park last night. Last week I was bemoaning the fact that Boyamiowski, he's been there and done it in the Premiership. Why is he not doing it? Well, he did it last night.
Yeah, it was impressive. It's the first time we've really seen him go that clinical cutting edge. Certainly something that Rangers have been crying out for. I mean, we've spoken so much about how blunt this Rangers attack is. So the fact that he sort of returned to form will come as a huge boost to Danny Rule. You know, the first goal, I remember thinking, I'm sitting there with Fraser Wilson going, are Rangers trying to walk the ball into it here? I mean, they just seemed insistent upon passing it across the box and back again, time after time. It really just needed somebody just to put his foot through it, and that man was Bojan Majowski, sort of decent finish. And then I thought his movement for the second goal was really good. I think it shows the beauty of, you know, you can move too much at times, and if you just hold your position, hold your stance, and let everyone sort of move round about you. And that seemed to be the case with that one. As Nico Raskin drives inside, it was a great inside run. I think it was from Gisama that just sort of opened up the Killie defence. Majowski just sort of held his ground where he was, and you know, then it was all about the finish. So yeah, it's exactly what Rangers need. You know, a proper centre forward, somebody scoring goals, because it's been, you know, they've been so poor in that department. Remains to be seen if he can keep it up, but you know, it was a huge boost to Danny Rule last night.
And aside from Majowski, you mentioned Raskin there, Andy. I thought it was his best game in a long time. And I thought a lot of Rangers players played well. I mean, we're going to mention the VAR calls, and I think a kind of friendly segue into it is by mentioning Mikey Moore, because he had a goal chopped off. But I thought he was brilliant last night when he came on. I thought he was really impressive. Yeah,
I think that he's been a huge miss the last couple of weeks since he got injured in England under-19 duty. I think you know, he was starting to really show some promise under Danny Rule. Sort of been given that sort of a move inside. I think the fear was that a couple of weeks out injured, it might set him back, but you know, he showed he's picked up basically where he left off at Dens Park before the international break. Great goal to wrap up the points at 3-0. Really harshly denied a second one. But I mean, and I agree with you. I do think there was guys who I thought Raskin was as good as I've seen him this season, which, you know, still isn't where he was last year. But I think you look at Conor Barron, I thought was terrific last night. Majowski as well, obviously. I thought Manny Fernandez had his best game, which again, it's all relative. I'm not saying that he's a star defender yet, but I thought that was his most assured game at centre back since he came in. But in saying that, though, there was still a good sort of 20-30 minute spell in the second half where Kamal were dominant and had the better of the run of play. And obviously, there's a couple of absolutely phenomenal saves from Jack Butland in there. That one from Bruce Anderson, especially, but it comes through a ruck of bodies and he reacts and gets down low and gets a really strong right hand on it. Another save from, I think it was Robbie D's header. And then you talk about the big instance with VAR. I'm sure we'll come on to. So what I'm saying is that it was an encouraging display. It was a lesson of what happens when you take your chances. Against Dundee United the other night, Rangers paid the price for not taking their chances. Last night, obviously, they did, and that's what gets them a comfortable win in the end. But you know, this is still a Rangers team that is a long, long way to go before it is, you know, just being a commanding force. I still don't think we've seen. I can't remember the last time I've seen a 90-minute performance from a Rangers team. I mean, we're probably, you know, once maybe Nice away last year. In the Europa League, and even then there was a couple of big chances that Nice had that night. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a Rangers team properly play well from minute 1 to minute 90. So that's the challenge for Danny Rule. Obviously he's got to get himself to January. Understand that they're probably going to be looking. They're going to obviously told that they're going to be prioritising the spine of the team. That's where they're going to look to add. They're going to look to get perhaps another striker in. But if that does, it would mean one would probably have to go out. But certainly another midfielder, certainly a centre back, I think is the priority areas. But you know, I think Danny Rule will be encouraged by the fact that if you had a Mikey Moore in there, if you get Majowski playing, if you get Conor Barron, Diamande and Nico Raskin playing well in the engine room, then he's got something to work with. But it's just it's so thin, isn't it? You take Moore out of that, you take Majowski out of that, and then there's just not much else to work with. So, yeah.
You mentioned the VAR calls, Andy. So the two big ones, you mentioned obviously Mikey Moore's cruelly ruled out goal, but the two big ones, Jack Butland, you mentioned him there. How did you see his collision with Bruce Anderson?
I think he's lucky. I think he comes out with a sort of a straight leg tackle. Not saying it was a dangerous one, but he comes out with 1 foot further ahead than another. That misses the ball. The ball then hits off his trailing thigh, and then he wipes out Anderson. I was at the game. I had access to 1 or 2 replays. I've only seen those at the time. I don't think he smashes into him in a reckless way, but I think he does wipe him out. And then it's a case of, well, by going through him, is it negated by the fact he gets the first touch in the ball? Does that negate the fact he then takes the player out? To mean is it a foul or not? I think there's some referees that would interpret that and go, no, he's wiped him out. Doesn't matter if he gets the ball. It's reckless. It's potentially dangerous. Send him off. Obviously, Kevin Clancy and the VAR team decided that it wasn't high enough up that scale and let him stay in the pitch. But I mean, it's I'd like to have seen Stuart Kettlewell's reaction to that one. Obviously, he'd already been ordered off at that point. I think that might have tipped him over the edge because he was boiling all over already. But long before even the first half, he had a run in with the fourth official. It was no surprise to me at all to see him get sent off for putting that bottle of water. I think the thing that will anger him the most though is the Bruce Anderson Diamandi tug, which obviously starts outside the box. But I think the evidence is that it's certainly there or thereabouts inside the box on the line. I mean, just looking at the image there, I mean, it's so tight, isn't it? But I think if you're a Kilmarnock fan, you'll argue David Watson's inside the box. Whether or not Diamandi's arm's inside the box is another thing. But if David Watson's inside, then it should be a penalty. So, listen, once again, VAR, which was supposed to sort of take controversy away, just seems to be feeling it. So I think it comes down to the fact that not enough of the referees are up to scratch. I think we've got 1 or 2 that are competent. I think there's a lot that are miles off the standard. I mean, even like daft things like last night, the chance where Bruce Anderson goes through, runs right from his own half, clips the ball over Jack Butland. Connor Barron, in fairness to him, does brilliantly get back and kick it off the line, put it out for a corner. But Bruce Anderson gets flagged for halfway line for offside, even though he started his run from his own half. He's 4 yards onside.
Wasn't even close.
I mean, that's the sort of thing that drives fans and managers and players absolutely potty, and you can sympathise with them because there's a chance for them to put some pressure on Rangers. They've had a big chance, cleared off the line. Rugby Park, which was far from full last night, I think it has to be said, but it was getting a wee bit noisy at that point. But it totally, they just take all the air out of it because Rangers get to take a free kick in halfway. It's just that those are the small that they might look very inconsequential at the time, but who's to say that Kilmarnock wouldn't have got a goal from that set piece? So I just think those are the things that lead to the type of reaction you saw from Stuart Kettlewell midway through the second half. And
then the week coming, Andy, we're running out of time, but Ferencvaros away and Hibs at home for Rangers' big week coming up. Yeah, and depends whether or not we'll see Mohamed Diamandi again. I thought he was good last night. I thought had his link up with Jerry Gisama. Gisama's kind of coming in off the wing and sort of playing these wee passes through into Diamandi in space. And that worked well for Rangers, but it looks like he'll also be suspended for the trip to Ferencvaros, and then I think Rangers still in discussions about whether or not he can make he'll be allowed to delay his departure for the African Cup of Nations. Obviously, it looks like he's going to be in the Ivory Coast squad, so that'll be another headache for Danny Rule to deal with. He's so down in numbers with John Suter and Derek Cornelius being out, so to have him missing as well will be a big blow for what, as you say, is a huge week for him and his team. Andy, it's always a pleasure having you on the Hotline Live. Thank you so much for joining us. No problem, pal. In the comments, guys, Keith, let me throw this at you very quickly. Scott says, Rangers got decisions in our favour, have to be honest, apart from Moore's second goal. Scott the Brave says, 3 weeks in a row, refs have shafted teams against Rangers and nothing done about it. Pegleg says, another shocking decision in the Rangers game. And Mark says, get foreign referees in and scrap VAR. I don't know how you guys saw last night's decisions.
Right, we'll start with Diomande's tug. I think it was not David Watson it was on.
It was, yeah.
I think it's a clear penalty kick. I don't know why it's not spotted. I don't know why the referee's not asked to look at it. I can't understand it. But we're having this same conversation, and I know Mark, one of the regulars, has been going on about VAR for ages, and I'm trying to defend it, but it's harder and harder. I want it to work. I want us to use the technology properly. But this is the point. Use it. You've got the technology. Use it. Because the Butland one at full speed, I'm going to give. And I'm not a great fan of Kevin Clancy as a referee. I think he's one of these guys that looks almost like he's panic-stricken before the game even starts. He's got that sort of a tense look about him. There's nothing relaxed about the way that he manages a game of football out there. So that's always a kind of worry for me when Kevin Clancy gets a big game. I'm going to give him an absolute free pass on the Butland challenge on Bruce Anderson, for the reason being, at full speed, it looks very much as if Jack Butland has come out. Yes, he's got man-balled a lot, but he's won it, and it's very good back goalkeeping. However, we do have the technology. So see, when you slow it down and you look at it and you study it, Andy was actually wrong there. Jack Butland didn't get the ball first and then follow through into Bruce Anderson. He got Bruce Anderson first with his straight leg, and then got the ball with his second, his trailing leg, if you like. So the contact is made initially with Bruce Anderson. Completely misses the ball. Now, my point being, I can excuse the referee because it happens at a split second and you just think that Butland's about to clear that out and it's good play. But you've got the benefit of VAR. You can see the slow motion. The slow motion is telling you the story of what just happened. Jack Butland cleaned out Bruce Anderson. Didn't win the ball. It was only secondary to that he actually makes contact with the ball. Why VAR are not getting involved? They've got the technology. They're seeing it with their own eyes. I cannot fathom it. I just don't understand it. And by the way, the Moore goal, I don't know what they're doing, chopping that off. They are now getting involved over nothing. Because I think, again, was it David Watson? And there was a coming together, I think, with Fernandez. David Watson is not getting back to play any part in that, in blocking or stopping that move from developing. And there's no way that he's getting back to intervene at that point. And it was a perfectly good goal. And yet, at that point, VAR decided to jump in. And a goal's chopped off for no reason at all. It's astonishingly bad stuff. And really, Willie Collum needs to get a grip in this. And he needs to get a grip in it yesterday.
I think, Swanee, as well, it makes it doubly frustrating, the fact we've got VAR and they still get so many decisions wrong.
Yeah, I think, and this was the thing when VAR was introduced. It's going to take away all the contentious stuff, and we're not going to have any of these arguments after games anymore. And we've had 15 times more arguments than we ever had. VAR gets involved when it shouldn't get involved. It doesn't get involved when it should get involved. Listen, the one thing I have heard said quite a lot, and I would tend to agree with it, is it's clearly the guys operating it, not making the right calls and when to get involved and when not to get involved.
They're meant to be getting coached, Swanee.
Yeah, clearly the judgment is slightly flawed, and when they're wading into something where they should really just stay out of it, and other situations where you're thinking, surely you've spotted it, and nothing seems to happen. I don't know where you draw the line. I don't know whether you say, look, lads, you don't get involved in absolutely nothing unless the ref asks you. I don't know how you stop it. That is my point. Unless Willie Collum says to the ref, right, VAR, you don't get involved unless you hear the referee on the pitch saying, lads, can you check that for me? I'm not sure about it. But maybe the only way.
Yeah.
But unless something like that happens, then, and of course, then somebody's going to argue with me, well, there might be something blatant in the referee's blindside that he's not seen, so he's not going to shout that, is he? Because he hasn't seen it, and that's the point of. So I can understand why people would listen to me say that and say, well, you're talking rubbish.
Well, sorry,
I don't know what the answer is. Listen, I'm an old dog. I wouldn't have the thing in the first place, but that ship sailed.
Sorry, the Butland incident is a perfect case in point for what you're saying, right? That Kevin Clancy obviously thinks he's seen it. And I would have agreed at full speed. It looks very much as if Butland's just come out, great back goalkeeping, good tackle. VAR have then got the slow motion. They see exactly how that unfolded. They see that the first contact was against Bruce Anderson, not the ball. At that point, and I know what you're saying, but if we adopt that practice, Kevin Clancy's not going to go to VAR and say, "Can we just clear that one up, lads?" He's made his mind up. He's seen what he's seen. So
I'm
the
just
guys
trying to
that
take away some of the total confusion of it all, you know, whereas at least we know where we stand then. At least we know if VAR gets involved, the refs ask for it. You know, but maybe that's unfair on the ref and put too much pressure.
If you've got the technology, that shows that the referee has not seen it properly, and that's all it is. We're not slaughtering anybody. He's just not seen it properly. He's not seen it with the benefit of slow motion replay.
This needs to be utilised better, doesn't it?
If you're sitting there and you've got that technology and you've got these slow motion replays, surely the onus is on you to say, "Kev, go and take a look at that screen just so you're happy with that." And then if he's happy with it, well, that's on him. But at least you're saying to him, there's something that you might not have seen just as clearly at full speed as we can see in slow motion. I don't see it's that complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated.
It's maybe flicking back and forward to see what was happening. I'm a Celebrity.
Big finale tonight, Swanee.
I was trying to watch the trial.
For anyone watching at home, Swanee and Keith are absolutely buzzing for the I'm a Celebrity final tonight.
Well, we're not actually. We're both absolutely raging. The H has been booted out.
Well, listen.
Reach the steps, by the way, in case anybody.
Well, look, time's running away from us. Before we let you go and get off to watch I'm a Celeb, the World Cup, guys. We've not spoken since the draw. We've actually got a couple of comments on that. Scott wants to know what you think of Trump in the World Cup draw. Did you enjoy it, Keith?
It was the worst 3 hours or 4 or 5 hours. How long did it go on for? Of television that I can remember watching. It was absolute toe curling. It was exactly what I expected it to be. And I'm telling you, I wrote something after it, Daniel. See, can we get a letter and send it to America? Can somebody at the SFA make sure that they do this as a matter of urgency? Send it straight to the White House and just say, "Donald, here's one thing, mate. One thing. Please, just stay away. Stay away from us. Donald, we're the losers, right? You don't want to associate your brand with us. Go and support England. Go and attach. If you want to have a wee bit of the British thing because you like all the King's horses and all the King's men, brilliant, Don. Go on, the big man. Go and hang about with England. Stay away from us, please. We don't need
There's a serious point to that. There's a serious point to that because I was fortunate enough to go to the Ryder Cup this year, and when he turned up on the Friday, it was chaos trying to get into the place.
Yeah.
Because you get the pop-up Donald Trump security extra, and they basically take everything from vapes to umbrellas to everything off you. If your phone's too big, they take it off you because they think something's going on, honestly. So it's a serious point. If Donald Trump's in the Scotland games, it's Tartan, you can add another hour and a half to get into the game. It happened at the US Open tennis final as well, didn't it? Remember?
Yeah.
Turned up at that. Basically, the game was an hour and a half late in starting.
It's not just that. He considered, and yes, for all those sort of kind of functional reasons around it, that it's a problem that we don't need. But also, we don't need him grandstanding. We don't need. He genuinely believes that he's the star of the show. I mean, to such an extent that Infantino and how embarrassing, how sycophantic, how absolutely sickening to see. Well, Big Don didn't win the Nobel Prize.
Applications with a big red pen through it as we speak.
Oh, mate, I know. It's a good point. Good luck with that visa application, Jacko. But honestly, that was a disgrace to football for them to pluck a peace award out of thin air just so they can present it like a toy to the big man-child who looks like the sort of weird wizard of the Oompa Loompas. The whole thing was absolutely horrendous. The draw was horrendous. I don't know what Rio Ferdinand was doing there. He didn't make it any better. Nothing about it. And then the draw itself, and then you're sitting there and you're going, great. We know what's happening here. We can see Brazil and Morocco sitting just waiting for us. About 22 African teams they avoid that bullet. And you just knew at that point, well, it is what it is. But no, the draw and Trump and Infantino, if they could just please stay away. Scotland, we're there. We'll be coming, but we'll be coming for the football. We're not there for the freak show. You guys, you can go, I don't know, Elon Musk can drive you about in some electric bus.
Some rant here.
I know this is definitely going up on social media.
Join us tomorrow night on Politics Live. Oh.
Swanee, it was appalling. These people were appalling. I don't want them anywhere near Scotland.
Well, look, you mentioned the football there very quickly before we finish. The fixtures, Swanee, Haiti first on the early hours of 14th of June, Scotland, Morocco and Scotland, Brazil on the 19th and 24th. We can, I mean, look, I know Morocco and Brazil are big asks, but you can get through with one victory.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of
Scotland can ask for anything better, Daniel, on the fact of, you know, you've got the same venue on the East Coast for the first two games, you know, before you move, so there's no flitting in between your two, you know, your group games. It's not like you're in the same game place for games 1 and 3, and you know they'll be able to set up in the same place. That's terrific. The way the fixtures have lined up are ideal. I'm loath to say, oh great, it's Haiti first, because my mind drifts back to Costa Rica. Great. Costa Rica first, that'll let us get some points on the board. So, but you know, if you're going to be realistic about it, that's going to be your best chance to get 3 points in the group. To get that game first, Scotland players should be relishing that, not fearing it. And then you get 3 points on the board, that just a weight kind of comes off them, you know, and gives them a chance to go into that second game with Morocco. And then you may have a situation where, listen, we talk about these things all the time, but Brazil, have they won their first 2 games? And okay, lads, we'll try some of the other boys. I'm quite sure Brazil's fringe players are still absolutely outstanding, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, listen, it's a great draw. It's a great draw in terms of.
So there's the heavies coming to get you.
I was going to say, you're about to get toughed out, I think, Sonny.
Oh, here's Jerry coming to kill me.
Jerry, we're live here, come on.
And I mean, must be Swannies. So go to the media room already.
Thank you.
Cheers for that cameo, Jerry. We appreciate it.
Yeah. He's a very good man, looking after my bag for me. Wondered where I was.
Nice. What a guy. Okay, well, I mean, Keith, on the football, are we going to get through that? I mean, I keep seeing all these things in the press about England's route to the final. Haven't really seen any about our route to the final.
Yeah, because let's not be as silly as Gianni Infantino and his cronies. We're there to enjoy the World Cup. I think we're there to make a bit of history. I think we will qualify from this group. I'm not sure how yet, but I think taking 3 points in the opening game is going to be an absolute must, obviously. So if we can do that, 3 points might be enough. But as Swanee says, you don't take it for granted. Haiti, we've seen Scotland at previous World Cups. They can often be an accident waiting to happen, and it's one that you don't foresee. And by the way, Swanee mentions Costa Rica. Haiti topped the group for qualification ahead of Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So you do get these kind of shivers down the spine at the thought of it. But that all said, this Scotland team, I've said, we've got a team we can trust, players we can trust, a manager we can trust. I think we can trust them to go and get 3 points in that first game.
Yeah. And we should also say, Keith, don't worry about him, but we should also say, remember Spain 82?
Yeah,
New Zealand. We're old enough to remember, we get New Zealand first up and we give them a good caning 5-2, so it can be done.
That's exactly what I wrote, Swanee, after the draw. That's what this game represents to me. It's a flashback to, and a happy flashback, our best ever World Cup result, that one, 5-2. And it was great. Some of the goals were great. Remember the free kick? They did a brilliant free kick where they pretended to be falling out with each other, shoving each other. And it was John Watt just stepped up and curled one into the top corner.
Oh, right. Was that the old Fergie one they used against Bayern Munich in the Cup Winners' Cup?
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah. I think
Starking
John Robertson.
Somebody else appeared to be arguing, and then they crossed it, and someone scored with a header. Yeah.
No, I think John Robertson, if memory serves, just stepped up and curled it right into the top bin.
Yeah.
But it was a great night, and it was a great start to the World Cup. Unfortunately, because this is what we always do, we had to run into Brazil in the next game, and Dave Neary was stupid enough to smack home a 30-yarder into the top corner with his big toe, and then it just all went downhill from there. The kind of sand has shifted a little bit because the qualification, there's more teams, more chance to qualify than to not qualify, which should alarm Scottish supporters as well, by the way. But also, you know, if we can take a point from Morocco, big ask, but why not? And then we go into Brazil in Miami. I mean, that's just dream stuff for the Tartan Army.
Oh, that's like Scotland to win their first game, then beat Morocco, and then 2 days later, just along the road, Bob McIntyre wins a US Open golf at Shinnecock Hills. Tartan Army chaos.
There you
Magic.
go, mate.
Magic.
There you go.
Bring it on.
There you go. The summer's all lined up. Can't wait now. I think that brings to the end of Sunday's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you for all the comments. They've been amazing as ever. Swanee, thank you so much for joining us from Celtic Park.
Thank you, boys. All the best.
Thank you. Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Cheers, Dan. Cheers, Swanee.
Cheers, boys.
Everybody.
We'll be back to do it 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Cheers, Donald Trump. I didn't mean it.
Red card.
Thanks for watching. Cheers.